Indipid Tayo Tanggub and Astral Academy FB page.
I am Ma'am Shermay S. Epong from Tanggub City National High School.
And I am Ma'am Siti Badria Dato Dakula, also from Tanggub City National High School.
And we are your teacher facilitators today. Maayong hapon, Ma'am Buds.
Assalamualaikum, Ma'am Sherry, and good afternoon. Today is April 5, 2022. We will be discussing two subjects this afternoon. The first subject is discipline and ideas in applied social sciences.
And the second subject is community engagement, solidarity, and citizenship.
For discipline and ideas and applied social sciences, week 1, second quarter, learning competency, describe the clientele and audience of communications. Distinguish the individuals, groups, organizations, and communities.
Okay, yes, Ma'am. No? So, for this afternoon, we will be talking about audiences and their communication needs. No? So, before that, stay tuned, learners, and prepare your self-learning materials because we are going to discuss our first subject today after a short break. This is Astral Academy Cyber School. And we are back, still in Astral Academy Cyber School.
Okay, Ma'am Sherry, to begin with our discussion for today, let us first know what is audiences all about.
Okay, yes, Ma'am, no? So, kinsa man di ay kinsa man yung gitawag natin audience, no? So, audience are actually people who watch television shows, na? Read the news, watch a film, and they are comprised, of course, or they are considered as audience. So, what these groups of individuals have in common is their use of the particular medium and, of course, the content, no? So, the media sociologist, Dennis McQuill, has noted that an audience can be defined in different and overlapping ways, no? So, these are according to or by place, no? As in the audience of case of community newspaper. And then by people, as when media content appeals to a certain age, group, gender, political belief, or income category. So, by particular type of medium or channel that involves the audience of radio may differ from the audience sa TV, no? And then by the content of the message of the medium, so sometimes talk shows, no? Or soap operas may have different audiences. And by time, it can be in daytime, pwede po siya prime time, or naapot tayo mga weekend audiences, especially katong mga working, ma'am.
Yes, okay. So, when we say audience, it talks about people, of course. It talks about individuals. So you and I are considered, of course, as audience, di ba, Ma'am She?
Yes.
So individuals who engage in communication along the different levels of interpersonal and mass communications. So we do so for a variety of reasons. Mackwell, 1972, provided a typology of media-person interactions. So these are the diversion, its escape from routine of problems, emotional release. So parang they are watching TVs or they are listening the news para ma-divert ilahang mga problems, ganyan, 'di ba? So parang nahimo na siya as routine nila. And another one is personal relationship. So companionship and social utility. So another one is a personal identity. So self-reference, reality exploration, value of reinforcement. Yes. Okay? So last one is surveillance or information seeking. So gusto ra nila makakuha og mga balita.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so naapoy gikandak nga research, ma'am, no? According to the research findings, no, that among the gratification which audiences have derived from using the media are, so naa sila yung mga kumbaga satisfaction
Yes.
nga nakuha no, from using the media. So,
Yes.
unsa man ni sila? First, na atay information and education. So, what are the informations nga ilang makuha through media,
Media.
no? And of course, giunsa sila or unsa may ilang mga learnings from that.
Yes.
And then guidance and advice, no? Kay syempre naatay makita sa media, it can be in TV or in radio na madungga nato nga pwede nila kuhaan, no?
Yes.
Pwede maka-guide sa ilaa.
Makahatag og mga advices.
Yes.
Yes.
And then diversion and relaxation, di ba? Naapoy mga panahon wherein mulantaw ta sa media
Yes.
or mulantaw ta sa TV wherein makarelax ta or
Yes.
ma-divert ang atong hunahuna from a stressful day.
Yes.
So pwede siya nato magamit, no? And then social contract. So this includes, of course, managing relations with others. It can be, pwede po nato diri ang conversation, no? The effect of conversation nato, identification with role models, no? Sharing of activity, vicarious companionship, no? And then the value reinforcement. Now, wherein, pwede po na nato makuha, no? Through media.
Yes.
And then, aside from that, we also have cultural satisfaction. No, especially if we are into with culture and arts, no? And then emotional release. So some of our stress pwede nato ma-release or as an outlet, no, dito sa pag-watch nato sa social media or sa media pagpaminaw og radio, no? And then we also have identity formation and confirmation, lifestyle expression, no, security. It can also be sexual arousal, ma'am,
Yes.
no?
Oh, yeah.
And then feeling time. So those are, of course, the gratification or satisfaction nga pwede makuha sa mga audiences sa
Yes.
social media.
So our audiences, it can be individuals, of course, and it can be groups or organizations. So they are all considered as audiences. So okay, like individuals, organizations communicate with others for a variety of reasons. So experts on communication needs to organizations as follows. So to inform, of course, you may need to let interested parties know who you are, what you can do for them, what they can do to help you, or even just how to get in touch, okay? So another one is to build understanding or change behavior. So you may want to encourage others to think, act, or feel a certain way. To stop smoking, for example, a self-interest or person's imagination. So to resolve conflict or prevent misunderstandings. Even a small misunderstanding can create problems for your organization. So you can ensure good communications by paying attention to their needs and getting to know them. Okay, so to present a point of view or project an image. So often, this is all you need to do to accomplish your goal. Okay, to lower barriers between groups and individuals. So these barriers may range from information overload to suspicion and prejudice. Okay.
Okay, yes, ma'am. No, so among the wide variety of communication media, ma'am, no, which of course organizations can use to fulfill this communication needs are, it can be on paid advertising, ma'am, no? Pwede po siya sa print, no? Newspapers, magazines, no? Good for conveying details, of course, no? Makita nato dira natay mga advertisement about a certain product. It can also be through radio, no? Effective if carefully targeted. Kay syempre, direct nga madunggan manggod sa audience kung unsay mga gipang advertise na mga produkto, no?
Yes.
And then sa television pod, of course, it is effective in reaching broad target audiences. No, kay ang nag-broadcast, of course, makita it can be nationwide, local, or national. No, outdoor, good for mobile audiences. It can also be through transit ads. No, good for urban audiences, and pwede pod sa mall display, wherein sa mga consumer ang atong gitarget. So paid advertising.
Okay. So another is, of course, a print material. So sometimes makikita natin yung mga ginatawag natong mga brochures, pamphlets, okay? So publications. So those are the good communication tools if they are targeted to those who need the informations and open for the message. Kay of course, sometimes hindi man lahat nakikinig din sa TV or ano yung ibang tao mas ano sa kanila mas prefer nila ang mga brochures, mga pamphlets, di ba?
Yes.
Okay, so we also have posters. Yan yung nakikita natin minsan sa mga ano no, mga yung mga glow, ano ba yan?
Yes, sa mga
TV.
tindahan.
Oh yes, na may mga posters.
Yes.
So that's one way of communicating them to letting them know that those products are for sale. Like example, di ba? So it is highly visible for along ano yung mga billboards.
Yes.
Actually, that is belongs to posters. No? So newsletters. Okay, so another one is annual report.
Yes.
Okay, so those are another way of
Mga print
communication.
materials,
Yes,
ma'am, no?
print materials.
Okay, so we also have media relations, no? This is actually an indirect communication, ma'am.
Yes.
So in the media relation man good, it can develop regular contact with journalists, no? And then mailing list, of course, it must be well maintained.
Yes.
And then it can also have this one-on-one interviews, no, with the media. And then meeting with the editorial boards, no? And then there's what we call news releases. It can be through print, no? Or kung naatay news releases, we also have electronic releases, no? So kung naatay print, naaputay video, or it can
Yes.
be in audio, no? And then news conferences, talk shows, no? Information kits, and then letters to the editor, issue spokesperson, in which it having someone no available to speak about an issue, or it can be announcement no through a spokesperson. And then we also have part po ana ang feature articles, or it can
Yes.
be ma-post siya. It's because again, we have the internet na anatay website posting.
Yes. So, okay. So, we also have public service announcement. So, saan yan makita? Of course, we have our cable television.
Yes.
So, dihan na ang mga anchors na to, mga newscasters. Yeah. And then, community relations, direct mail, pwede rin yan. Of course, public speaking. So, it is very effective no, in contacting people.
Yes.
Another one is presentation, AV presentations. It provide a dramatic message.
Yes.
So, personal contacts. So, okay. So, public meetings. Isa rin yan sa way. Site tours. No?
Yes.
And then, educational opportunities. Okay.
Okay, so that is for public service, ma'am,
Yes.
no? So we also have this government relations, ma'am, no? So regular contact with key officials, no? Especially atong mga government official nga naatay communication or contact sa ila.
Yes.
Add government officials, no? Offices to your mailing list. And then there's briefing of documents. And
Okay. And then sa organization, corporate communications, we have the spokespersons, okay? We also have these speeches, and then on special events, sa displays, it can be a trade shows or a special clients group meetings, and annual and other reports, annual meetings. Ito siya parang makikita natin to. It is visible sa face-to-face yan siya, no?
yes.
Yung mga ganyan din na ano.
Okay, so we also have internal communication. So actually, this communication happens within the organization, ma'am. No,
Yes.
so example, meetings. No, meetings among the employees or
Employees.
members of the organization. It can be na issuance of newsletters, no, employee annual report. And then dira na pud makita nato unsa nay mga development sa company or sa organization. Information in pay envelopes, no? And then letters sent to employees' home, and then bulletin boards, no? Wherein naa dito ang mga announcement.
Yes.
It can also be through emails or electronic mail messages, and then employee special event wherein na ay mga announcement.
Yes.
Okay, so that is for our week 1, no? Sa quarter 2, second quarter na takaron
sa
nga.
discipline and ideas in applied social
Yes.
sciences.
Yeah, so again, learners, no, at the back of your SLM, no, for ideas or discipline and ideas in the applied social sciences na amoy first activity.
Yes.
Okay, so your activity is analyze your own communication activities or those of other people as follows. So you have their questions, no? Number one, why do I listen to radio? Anong
Yeah.
maminaw man ka
Maminaw
sa
man mo.
radyo?
Yes.
Napabaitik paminaw sa radyo? Of course, kay natay
Na.
programa sa radyo. And then, why do my mother or your parent, no, watch television?
Yes.
And then, why do my classmates use Facebook?
Facebooks.
Okay, so give your answer using the graphic organizer, no? So, naay graphic organizer nga makita sa inyo.
Ilang
ang
SLMs.
Yes. So prepare one organizer for each item. So above, identify a maximum of 4 reasons na nganong nagamit mo ana and expand the organizer by indicating an example of the communication activity. So for instance, na title of TV program that satisfies the need or provides gratification, position this activity around the need circle.
Okay. So I think that's all for our discipline and ideas in social sciences. So more discussions when we return. This is Astral Academy Cyber School.
Dali na mag-science na kita, mag-observe o mag-discover ta, living things o non-living things, mga stars o mga planeta. Dali na mag-science na kita, mag-observe o mag-discover ta, living things o non-living things, mga stars o mga planeta, mga stars o mga planeta, mga stars o mga planeta.
And we are back, still here in Astral Academy Cyber School.
We are still live in DepEd Tayo Tanggub and Astral Academy FB page and YouTube channel. So again, learners, now welcome to our first lesson sa second quarter of our subject in community engagement, solidarity, and citizenship. So for this week's competency is explain the core values of community action, particularly the human rights, social equity, gender equality, and participatory development.
Okay, Ma'am Sherry. So the study of community entails us understanding our very own community life. It gives us idea of how to perceive reality by becoming involved in the day-to-day process, which is socialization.
So exactly, Ma'am Buds, no? So that is why it is important also, Ma'am, to study the core values,
Yes.
no? So mao ni atong competency karon to study and explain the core values of community action, human rights, social equity, gender equality, and participatory development. So that is our competency since in the Philippine Constitution, ma'am, sa atong batakang balaod kung baga, mandates in its preamble the building of a just and humane society and of course establishing a government that shall embody our ideals and aspirations, promote the common good, conserves and develop our patrimony, and secure to ourselves and our country the blessings of independence and democracy under the rule of law and regime of truth, justice, freedom, love, equality, and peace. Nga naa gyud na nakasulat gyud na sa atong Philippine Constitution.
Mao na
ma'am.
siya atong preamble.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So, okay, Ma'am Sherry. So, let us start with the core values of community action. So, the supreme and overarching value that characterizes education is human dignity. The value of the person is of infinite value. So, these are the core values of community actions. So, number one is the being physical, of course. So, made of matter, he must maintain health and harmony with nature.
Yes.
So, being human being, we must maintain the health harmony with nature. So,
Yes.
also being spiritual, capable of higher concerns and rising above the materials. So, he must cultivate a global spirituality, essentially connect him with God and the whole earth community.
Yes, no?
Yes.
So in addition to that, ma'am, we also have being intellectual, no? As a
Yes.
person, of course, we have this gift, no? Gifted with mind, of course, and the faculty of knowing. So as a person, you must constantly search for the truth.
Yes.
So he seeks knowledge, no, that would transform society and of course the world, no. So at the same time, ang usa ka tawo manggud pud ma'am must maintain a tolerant and open disposition of the mind, no. And then aside from that, we also have being moral. No, so it has something to do with having this endowment, no, with the faculty of freely choosing and loving. So as a person, you must go out to others and in fact to all humanity in love, no? So being social. So as a person, we have to live in a community. So as a person, you must help build peace and of course justice, no, in our society. Dili gyud ta pwede kitay hinungdan sa kagubot
Yes.
through the pursuit of family solidarity as well as of the common good and well-being of the larger society. So as a person also, we have to cultivate respect for human rights and activate non-violence. So that is for being social.
Okay. So, another one is being economic, bound to concern productions and consumption. So, we must help achieve the goal or human sustainable development for the community. Okay. Another one is being political. So, it relating to the conduct of political affairs within the nation and the world. We must also cultivate his sense of nationalism and globalism. For the former, love of our country and national unity are foremost concerns, while for the latter, global solidarity and peace are the fundamentals goals. Okay.
Okay, so yes ma'am, now so the foregoing kato atong dimension kaganiha ma'am,
Yes.
those are actually values, no, about the person as self. Indeed, of course, the human being must achieve integral self-development, no, kay by cultivating his human faculties, of course, to the fullest possible. So however, again, these values are actualized in society.
Okay, so let's proceed to human rights, Ma'am Sherry. So, human rights, naani sa ato ang constitutions and
Yes.
Article 3, right, Ma'am Sherry?
Yes.
Okay, so human rights are inherent to all human beings. So, regardless of race, sex, nationality, ethnicity, language, religion, or any other status, human rights include the right to life and liberty, freedom from slavery and tortures, freedom of opinion and expression, the right to work and educations, and many more. So everyone is entitled for these rights without discrimination.
Yes.
So as it written in our constitution, yan yung section 1, no?
Yes, ma'am.
No, yes, Ma'am Sherry.
Um,
No person shall be deprived of life, liberty,
liberty.
property without due process of law,
Yes.
nor any person shall deny the equal protection of the law.
Yes, that is
Yes.
also stipulated. That
In
is
the-
in the Article 3, the bill,
Section 1 and the
Yes.
Bill of Rights of the
Philippine
Constitutions.
Constitution.
Yes.
Okay, so human rights are legal rights actually,
Yes.
ma'am. No, safely enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, various human rights covenants. No, it can also be seen in the conventions.
Yes.
No, treaties, declarations. It can also be in the regional charters, no, national constitutions, and of course sa atong balaod. So human rights are rights that are inherent. Inherent siya to protect the dignity of a human being.
Yes.
They provide the values, principles, and standards that are essential to safeguard, of course, the human dignity. No, our dignity as a human being.
Yes.
And nature as human beings. Hence, the right to be human.
Human, yes. So we also have the social equity. So equity is a fairness vis-a-vis equality. Social equity is concerned with the justice and fairness of social policy. So since the 1960s, the concept of social equity has been used in a variety of institutional contexts. So including education and public administrations, the concept of social equity can be traced back to the works of Aristotle and Plato. Equity in old societies involved the role of public administrators who are responsible for ensuring the social, taking into account historical and current inequalities among groups. So fairness is dependent on the social and historical content. So fairness and social equity is very important
Yes.
as in our society, of course.
Patas, pagkapatas.
Patas, kailangan walang mahirap, walang mayaman.
Yes.
Yes.
So in line also with the first core value, which is the
Yes,
human rights.
human
ma'am,
rights,
no?
of course.
Okay, so next we also have the next core value is gender equality. Okay, so it has something to do with the equal valuing of the rules of women and men. So it works to overcome the barriers of stereotypes and of course prejudices, no, because of equal conditions for realizing their full human rights and of course potential to contribute to national, political, economic, social, and cultural development. So gender equality is also known as sexual equality. Or gitawag po ni nato siya, ma'am, as equality of the sexes. No? So it has something to do with the equal ease of access to resources and opportunities regardless of gender, including economic participation and of course decision making, no? State of valuing different behaviors, aspirations, and of course the needs equally regardless of gender. That is why in organization, in the government service, wala na ning kuan kanang
lalaki ni siya, babae.
yes, gitagaan nag equal opportunity
Equal jud
ang
siya.
babae ug
Lalaki.
lalaki. And there's what we call awareness na
Yes.
nga gi-provide, no, para ma-avoid ang gitawag natong discrimination sa mga sa sexes or sa
Yes.
gender.
Okay, so participatory development. So it takes to engage local populations in development projects. Participatory development has taken a variety of forms since it emerged in the 1970s. When it was introduced as important part of the basic needs, approach. Most manifestations of the public participation in development to give the poor a part in initiatives designed for their and the hopes that development project will be more sustainable and successful in local populations are engaged in the development and process.
Yes.
Okay, so gitagaan jud sila og priority ang
Yes.
ato ang mga ah,
Kanang gitawag na itong
Natong
mga
mga
kabus, ma'am.
laylayan sa
Yeah.
lipunan.
Oo.
Yes, no?
Okay.
Oo, yes.
So actually, ma'am, no, when it comes to participatory development, it has become an increasingly accepted method of development practice and is employed, of course, by a variety of organization. No? It is often presented as an alternative to mainstream top-down development. So there is some questions, of course, about the proper definition of this so-called participatory development, and it varies depending on the perspective applied. But then again, it has something to do with developing the community, developing the people, no, and with their participation and with their involvement.
Okay. And the last one is empowerment, Ma'am Sherry. So it is enabling an interacting process and process of change, requisites, elements in enabling environment, human rights,
Yes.
expanded choices, institutions, attitudes, values, civil society organizations, subject individuals or group or policies. So empowerment.
Yes, so
Yes.
those are the core values, ma'am, no, of community action, in which, of course, we are guided by these values, no, the values of human rights, the values of social equity, the values of gender equality, and participatory
Participatory
development and empowerment. So I'm sure, of course, our learners can explain, na kay mao man na ang atong competency, ma'am. Maka-explain na siya sa core values of community action, kaning human rights,
Yes.
social equity, gender equality, participatory development, and empowerment. So, learners, please check your activity 1 sa inyong SLM. That is, I am mentally healthy. That's your activity, no? So, based on our discussion, answer the questions, no, in your activity. You can utilize, of course, this space provided sa inyong activity sheet. Okay, so fill in the K and W columns before the lesson. So fill in the L column after the lesson. Use separate sheet of paper for your answer.
Okay.
Okay, and then please also refer to the given rubrics nga makita gyapon sa inyo ang SLM.
Okay, so more discussions after a short break.
This is Astral Academy Cyber School.
And we are back, still here in Astral Academy Cyber School. Okay, Ma'am Sherry. So, to our senior high school learners, please check the second attendance marker on the top of your screen. Okay, so patapos na, Ma'am Sherry, no? Sa attendance marker.
Okay, so senior high school stars, no, we hope that the lesson we imparted to you this afternoon sa discipline and ideas in the applied social sciences and community engagement, solidarity, and citizenship will be of great help, no, especially in explaining the core values and, of course, identifying the audiences. No? So if you have questions,
If you have questions or comments about the topics, okay, so please write it down below. So this has been your mom, Siti Badria Dato Dakula from Tangub City National High School.
And I'm your mom, Shermay S. Epong Steele from Tangub City National High School. Keep safe, everyone. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Tayo, tayo na. Buksan ang mga radyo, lina at matuto sa mga aral sa mundo. Tayo, tayo na. Tumutok na sa TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tayo, tayo na. Let's come and learn together, supporting one another. We love, we care, we share. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fun, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tangkop, tangkop time.
The Department of Education, Division of Tangub City, in partnership with the local government unit of Tangub, presents Ang Tangkub, Transforming Advancement in the New Normal, guiding K-12 learners under broadcast media and instructional program crafted in response to the need of making education possible and accessible to students at the comfort of their homes. It covers the most essential competencies, thematically layered in drama plays which were originally written, directed, and performed by teachers to see to it that education is securely provided. This is Ang Tangkub.
na sa TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tayo na. Let's come and learn together, supporting one another. We love, we care, we share. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tangkop time.
Hello! Welcome back mga grade 7 mathematics. Today is another brand new day to learn another lesson in mathematics. Dito sa nag-isang programa nyo, ang Tangko. We learn all things, ang saya! Ready na ba kayo? Hooray! Now, let us begin.
Today, in Mathematics 7, we will learn to write real-life problems that can be solved by statistics and formulate simple statistical instruments. Importance: learning to write real-life problems that can be solved by statistics is important because not all problems are to be answered by statistics. There are problems that can be easily answered. These problems have exactly one answer. There are also problems in real life that need survey, interview, and collecting data. And so, statistics is needed. We use statistics to manage our time properly, to budget finances, to count on the number of days spent on a particular task, and many more. Learning to formulate simple statistical instrument is also important because this will be our tool in collecting data, which serves as our key in finding the answers and analyze the problems in real life. At the end of this lesson, you will write real-life problems that can be solved by statistics and formulate simple statistical instruments.
We use statistics to manage our time properly, to budget finances, to count on the number of days spent on the particular task, and many more. Statistics is a mathematical science that includes collecting, organizing, and analyzing data in such a way that meaningful conclusions can be drawn from them. This time, learners, stay tuned and get prepared, for we will tackle our first lesson in statistics. And this is all about real-life statistical problems and statistical instruments. Do you know that statistics is about using data to answer questions? In real life, we might encounter many problems. In order to solve those problems, we may have a series of questions. If you investigate these questions, some of these are statistical and some are not. A statistical question is one that can be answered by collecting data that varies from each other. This means that not all the values of the data are the same. There are two types of data. First, we have quantitative or numerical data. It means that every value in the set is a number. Second, qualitative or categorical data. This data can be taken on non-numerical values such as names of colors, labels, and others. Now, let's try this. Identify each of the following data sets as categorical or numerical. First, heights of the grade 7 students. This type of data is numerical, since the answer is a number. Next, favorite flavor of ice cream for each grade 7 students. This type of data is right, categorical, since the answer is a flavor which is not a number. Remember, statistics is about using data to answer question. Question can be identified as statistical or non-statistical. When we say statistical questions, it requires collection of data, and the answers have variability, means there is more than one possible answer to the question, while non-statistical questions have answers with no variability, means there is only one answer. Let us have an example. Determine whether each question is statistical or non-statistical. First, what is my favorite color? This question is right. This question is non-statistical, since it has an exact answer. How about this question? What is the favorite subject of my grade 7 students? Right. This question is statistical, since the favorite subject of my grade 7 students may vary. There are also types of statistical questions. We have summarizing question, comparing question, and relationship question. Now, let us have an example. Determine the type of each statistical question. First, how many hours per month do students in special science class spend studying? This statistical question is summarizing, since the average number of hours spent studying is an example of summarizing question. How about this question? Do the students in special science class spend more time at sports than they do studying? The type of this statistical question is comparing, since this question involves comparing two sets of data with a common attribute, like comparing the results of the time students spend in playing sports and studying. Now, how about this question? Do students who spend more time playing sports do better in exam? The type of this statistical question is relationship. Reason? This question talks about the relationship between the time spent in playing sports and the result of the exam. Now, since you have learned statistical questions, Then you are ready to formulate questions using statistical instruments. Now, consider this situation. During lunch break, Sarah and Matthew are arguing on what social media platform is the most visited by netizens. After reading, can you tell right away what social media platform is most visited by netizens? Where would you begin to answer this problem? Now, in a given situation, we can't tell right away what social media platform is most visited by netizens. This is why we should develop statistical instruments to be used to gather data. When we say statistical instrument, it is any process whose aim is to describe a phenomenon by using interview guide, questionnaire, or a rating scale. Now, here are the statistical instruments that are commonly used in research. First, interview guide. Interview guide is a list of questions to be asked face-to-face to gather data from the respondents. It can be structured or unstructured interview. Structured interview is an interview following a set of sequence of questions, while unstructured interview is an interview which does not use any set of questions and it is more casual. Examples: determine whether each interview question is structured or unstructured. First question: what is your favorite subject? Why is it your favorite subject? The type of this interview question is structured, since it uses a set of questions that are asked in standard way across all interviewees. Now, how about this interview question? Can you tell me about yourself? The type of this interview question is right, unstructured interview. Reason: it is where interviewers simply ask questions on topics allowing interviewees great deal of freedom in their answers. Next statistical instrument is questionnaire. It is a printed list of questions to be answered by respondents to collect data. It can be structured or closed format or unstructured or open format. When we say structured or closed format, these are questions that can be in the form of multiple choice and alternative response questions such as true or false. Questions begin with are all structured or closed format questions. Next, unstructured or open format are questions that have no limit as to the responses of respondents. Questions begin with are all unstructured or open format questions. Examples: these questions are examples of structured or closed format because among the four choices, you have to choose only one answer. Next, how about these questions? These questions are examples of unstructured or open format questions because the respondents have the freedom to answer in their own words instead of limiting their responses to a set of pre-selected choices. Last but not the least statistical instrument is rating scales. Rating scales is often used in survey research and respondents are asked to rate or select a response in ranked manner. Now take a look at this. These are examples of a rating scale instrument because the respondents are asked to rate or select a response in ranked manner.
Today, before we write real-life problems that can be solved by statistics, let us have the indicators first for such problems. Problems should be statistical, meaning problems that has more than one possible answer. Problems that require the following: survey, collecting data, or interview. Now, if we already have problems that require the following indicators, let us have the guide in writing a real-life problem that can be solved by statistics. In writing the problem, it could be in question form. And so, we can use this as our guide. WH questions plus the outcome we want to identify the result. Now, using the indicators and the guides mentioned, let us now write real-life problems that can be solved by statistics. I wonder what subject is the most liked subject of my class in grade 7 by Bayin. So now, I will check first if this problem is statistical. With this problem, I need to conduct survey or interview my students for me to get the answer. Therefore, this problem is statistical, meaning it can be solved by statistics. Since the problem can be solved by statistics, then I am now ready to write the problem. Following the guide in writing the question, I can now write the problem as what plus the most liked subject of the class in grade 7 by Bayin. Putting this together, I can now write the real-life problem that can be solved by statistics, and that is, what is the most liked subject of the class of grade 7 by Bayin? Given the situation, I cannot tell right away what subject is the most liked subject of the grade 7 by Bayin. This is why formulating statistical instruments should be developed to gather data. Before formulating simple statistical instrument, we should always start with examining the question or problem we have. First, if the problem needs to be asked face-to-face, then interview will be used as our instrument. Now, if the problem needs printed list of questions, then we will use questionnaires. Now, if the problem needs a survey where responses are in rank manner, then rating scales will be used. Now, let us formulate simple statistical instrument on our problem. Our problem is again, what is the most liked subject of the class of grade 7 by Bayin? There are 7 subjects in class excluding their specialization. These are English, Mathematics, Science, Filipino, Araling Panlipunan, MAPE, and ESP. So these are the only possible responses of the learners. This shows that the problem cannot have a rating scale as a statistical instrument since the responses are not in rank manner. This also shows that it may be answered by the following statistical instrument. It could be an interview face-to-face the learners in class, which means during the interview, we simply ask each student in class the question, what is your most liked subject? Or give them a questionnaire where the possible responses are given in which learners can just encircle or put a check mark on their choice. In giving questionnaire, the direction in answering the question or questions must be clear so that the respondents can easily answer and that the question or questions can then also be answered. So the question may look like, direction. Put a check mark on the blank of your choice of subject. Now, what is your most liked subject?
Complicated? No! Take your time in answering the activities. If you have questions or clarifications, you may contact the number of your teacher printed below your activity sheet. To end, always remember that the essence of mathematics is not to make simple things complicated, but to make complicated things simple. Grade 8 learners, stay tuned and get ready for Math 8 is coming next. Good luck and God bless everyone! back mga grade 8 Mathematics. Today is another brand new day to learn another lesson in mathematics.
Dito sa nag-isang programa nyo,
Ang Tangkog! We learn all things ang saya! Ready na ba kayo? Hooray!
now let us begin.
Today, we will learn on how to explain theorems on triangle inequalities, namely, exterior angle inequality theorem, triangle inequality theorem, and Henge theorem. Importance of the lesson. The triangle inequality theorem is important to find out whether the triangle with a given three measurements exists or not. It also helps to calculate the unknown lengths and have a rough estimate of various dimensions. In real life, civil engineers use the triangle inequality theorem since their area of work deals with surveying, transportation, and urban planning. The triangle inequality theorem helps them to calculate the unknown lengths and have a rough estimate of various dimensions. At the end of the lesson, you will explain theorems on triangle inequalities, exterior angle inequality theorem, triangle inequality theorem, and Henge theorem.
Triangles are three-sided polygon or three non-collinear points and show a variance in properties depending on the measures of sides and angles. We come across different kinds of triangles. This time, learners, stay tuned and bear with us today, for we will learn more about triangles. This is all about the different theorems on triangle inequalities. Let us start with the exterior angle inequality theorem. But before we discuss the exterior angle inequality theorem, let us first define exterior angle and the remote interior angles. An exterior angle of a triangle is an angle that forms a linear pair with one of the angles of the triangle. When we say remote interior angles of a triangle, are the angles that do not form a linear pair with the exterior angle. Exterior angle inequality theorem. For any triangle, the measure of an exterior angle is equal to the sum of the measures of its two remote interior angles. Thus, on the figure, measure of angle 4 is equal to the sum of measure of angle 1 and measure of angle 2. The measure of an exterior angle of a triangle is greater than the measure of either of its two remote interior angles. Thus, on the figure, measure of angle 4 is greater than measure of angle 1, and measure of angle 4 is also greater than measure of angle 2. Let us have an example. Given this figure, find the measure of angle U. By exterior angle inequality theorem, we could say that angle U plus angle R is equal to angle UST. Now substituting the given values, angle R is equal to 50 degrees. Angle UST is equal to 120 degrees. So we now have angle U plus 50 degrees is equal to 120 degrees. Using the SPE or the subtraction property of equality, we now subtract both sides of the equation by 50 degrees. So we now have angle U is equal to 120 degrees minus 50 degrees. Now combining like terms, 120 minus 50 degrees is equal to 70 degrees. Therefore, angle U is equal to 70 degrees. Now, let us proceed to triangle inequality theorem. Triangle inequality theorem states that the sum of any two sides' length of a triangle is greater than the third side length. So on this given figure, side AB plus side BC is greater than side AC. Side BC plus side AC is greater than side AB. Side AC plus side AB is greater than BC. Let us have an example. Use the triangle inequality theorem to tell whether a triangle can have sides with a given length. Given sides are 5, 8, and 10. The triangle inequality theorem states that the sum of any two sides' lengths of a triangle is greater than the third side length. So, let us evaluate. If we're going to add the sides 5 and 8, let's check if it's greater than 10. 5 plus 8 is equal to 13. So we now have 13 is greater than 10. True, 13 is greater than 10. What about the next combination of sides? Let's check. 5 plus 10 is greater than 8. 5 plus 10 is equal to 15. So we have 15 is greater than 8. Right, it is true. 15 is greater than 8. Another combination of the sides. 8 plus 10 is greater than 5. 8 plus 10 is equal to 18. So we now have 18 is greater than 5. True, 18 is greater than 5. Now since the sum of each pair of side lengths is greater than the third length, so a triangle can have side lengths of 5, 8, and 10. What about this next example? 7, 9, 20. Now let's check. 7 plus 9 is greater than 20. 7 plus 9 is equal to 16. So we now have 16 is greater than 20. False. 16 is not greater than 20. Another combination of the sides. 7 plus 20 is greater than 9. 7 plus 20 is equal to 27. So we now have 27 is greater than 9. True, 27 is greater than 9. Another combination of the sides we have 9 plus 20 is greater than 7. 9 plus 20 is equal to 29. So we now have 29 is greater than 7. True, 29 is greater than 7. Now since not all three inequalities are true, so a triangle cannot have these three side lengths. Now let us take a look at how inequalities can be put to work between two triangles as we will learn the next theorem, which is hinge theorem and its converse. Hinge theorem states that if two sides of a triangle are congruent to two sides of another triangle, and the included angle of the first is larger than the included angle of the second, then the third side of the first triangle is longer than the third side of the second triangle. On this figure, it shows that if AC is greater than DF, then angle B is greater than angle A. Now, the converse of the hinge theorem states that if two sides of a triangle are congruent to two sides of another triangle, and the third side of the first is longer than the third side of the second, then the included angle in the first triangle is greater than the included angle in the second triangle. On this figure, if angle B is greater than angle A, then side AC is greater than side DF.
Now, for you to understand and how to explain the following theorems, let us consider these examples. But before that, these are the following steps on how to explain exterior angle inequality theorem. Step 1. Identify exterior and two remote interior angles. Step 2. Compare exterior angle to the two remote interior angles. Step 3. State the conclusion. Let us consider example number 1. Explain exterior angle inequality theorem given the illustration. Observe the illustration, then follow the steps. Step 1. Identify exterior and two remote interior angles. So, angle 4 is an exterior angle in the triangle, and angle 2 are the two remote interior angles. For step 2, compare exterior angle to the two remote interior angles. So, the exterior angle inequality theorem states that measure angle 4 is greater than measure angle 1, or measure angle 4 is greater than measure angle 2. Step 3. State the conclusion. Therefore, the measure of angle 4, which is the exterior angle of the triangle, is equal to the sum of the measures of angle 1 and angle 2, which are the two remote interior angles. In equation, measure angle 4 is equal to measure angle 1 plus measure angle 2. Now, let's proceed example number 2. Explain triangle inequality theorem based on the given condition. The condition is, could a triangle have side length as 6 centimeters, 7 centimeters, and 5 centimeters? The triangle inequality theorem states that the sum of the lengths of any two sides of a triangle is greater than the length of the third side. If 6 centimeters, 7 centimeters, and 5 centimeters are the sides of the triangle, then they should satisfy inequality theorem. Hence, 6 plus 7 is greater than 5. The result is 13 is greater than 5. It is true. 7 plus 5 is greater than 6. The result is 12 is greater than 6, and it is true. 5 plus 6 is greater than 7. The result is 11 is greater than 7, and it is also true. Since all the statements are true, therefore, the sides of the triangle satisfy the inequality theorem.
Complicated? No! Then it's time to get your activity sheet in this lesson and answer the given activity. Just take your time in answering the activity.
If you have questions or clarifications, you may contact the number of your teacher printed below your activity sheet.
To end, always remember that learning is a treasure that will follow its owner everywhere.
So education must continue. Grade 9 learners, stay tuned and get ready for Math 9 is coming next. Good luck and God bless everyone!
Welcome back mga grade 9 Mathematics. Today is another brand new day to learn another lesson in mathematics.
Dito sa nag-isang programa nyo,
Ang Tangko! We learn all things ang saya! Ready na ba kayo?
hooray! Now, let us begin.
Our today's lesson is all about explaining the 6 trigonometric ratios. We have sine, cosine, tangent, secant, and cotangent. Now, why do we need to study this lesson? Well, we need to study this lesson. It is because this lesson is important because these 6 trigonometric ratios, the sine, cosine, tangent, secant, and cotangent, are widely used in the field of engineering, physics, geometry, and navigation. Also, mastering your skill in explaining these 6 trigonometric ratios is fundamental in learning trigonometry. Now, learners, take note that at the end of this lesson, you will explain the 6 trigonometric ratios. We have the sine, cosine, tangent, secant, and cotangent of the indicated acute angle in a given right triangle.
For any right triangle, there are 6 trigonometric ratios. We have sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, and cotangent. These 6 trigonometric ratios will help us find unknown side lengths and unknown angle measures in right triangles. Now, let's look first at the definitions for these 6 trigonometric ratios. consider the right triangle ABC. In this triangle, we let theta represent angle B. Then, the leg denoted by A is the side adjacent to angle theta, and the leg denoted by B is the side opposite to angle theta. Remember, the side opposite the right angle is the hypotenuse, which is the longest side of the right triangle. In the given figure, the hypotenuse is denoted by C. Note, we will use the convention that angles are symbolized by capital letters, while the side opposite each angle will carry the same letter symbol in lowercase, just like the given figure. Now, here are the definition of the 6 trigonometric ratios. Given the same figure referring to angle theta, first, the sine of angle theta or sine theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. The cosine of angle theta or cosine theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. The tangent of angle theta or tangent theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. The cosecant of angle theta or cosecant theta is equal to hypotenuse over opposite. The secant of angle theta or secant theta is equal to hypotenuse over adjacent. The cotangent of angle theta or cotangent theta is equal to adjacent over opposite. Remember, the SOHCAHTOA is a mnemonic used for remembering the equations, where SO is an acronym for sine is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. CA stands for cosine is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. And TOA for tangent is equal to opposite over adjacent. Notice that the 3 ratios at the right are reciprocals of the ratios on the left. Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine. Cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent.
Now learners, how to explain the 6 trigonometric ratios of the indicated acute angle in a right triangle? Well, to explain the 6 trigonometric ratios of the indicated acute angle in a given right triangle, we follow these steps. Step 1. Identify the length of the hypotenuse, adjacent, and opposite sides of the given right triangle relative to the indicated acute angle. Step 2. Substitute the values or the lengths of the sides we identified in Step 1 into the following definitions of the 6 trigonometric ratios. Let us have an example. Given a right triangle below, explain the 6 trigonometric ratios for theta. Now to explain the 6 trigonometric ratios for angle theta, again we follow these steps. Step 1. We identify the length of the hypotenuse, adjacent, and opposite sides of the given right triangle relative to the indicated acute angle. Based on the given right triangle, the longest side opposite the right angle has a length denoted by C, and this is the hypotenuse of the given right triangle. Now, based on the location of theta, the length of its opposite side is denoted by B, and the length of its adjacent side is denoted by A. Thus, we have this following information: hypotenuse is equal to C, opposite side is equal to B, adjacent side is equal to A. Step 2. Substituting our values from Step 1 into the definitions of the 6 trigonometric ratios, thus, we have the following. For sine theta, we have sine theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Now, since the opposite side of theta is equal to B and the hypotenuse of the given right triangle is equal to C, then sine theta is equal to right B over C. Now, how about for the cosine theta? For cosine theta, its definition is adjacent over hypotenuse. Now since, based on the given figure, the adjacent side of theta is equal to A and the hypotenuse of the given right triangle is equal to C, then cosine theta is equal to, very good, A over C. Now how about the tangent theta? Tangent theta is equal to opposite over adjacent based on its definition. Now since in the given figure, the opposite side of theta is equal to B and the adjacent side of theta is equal to A, then tangent theta is equal to, right, B over A. Now, how about for cosecant theta? Now for cosecant theta, its definition is hypotenuse over opposite. Now since in the given right triangle, the hypotenuse is equal to C and the opposite side of theta is equal to B, then cosecant theta is equal to C over B. Now for secant theta, its definition is secant theta is equal to hypotenuse over adjacent. Now since in the given right triangle, the hypotenuse is equal to C and the adjacent side of theta is equal to A, then secant theta is equal to, right, C over A. Last but not the least is the cotangent theta. For cotangent theta, its definition is cotangent theta is equal to adjacent over opposite. Now since in the given figure, the adjacent side of theta is equal to A and the opposite side of theta is equal to B, then cotangent theta is equal to, right, A over B.
Do you get it? Good! Take your time in answering the activity. If you have questions or clarifications, you may contact the number of your teacher printed below your activity sheet. To end, always remember that the only way to learn mathematics is to do mathematics. Grade 10 learners, stay tuned and get ready for Math 10 is coming next. Good luck and God bless everyone! Welcome back mga grade 10 Mathematics. Today is another brand new day to learn another lesson in mathematics. Dito sa nag-isang programa nyo, ang Tangko. We learn all things, ang saya. Ready na ba kayo? Hooray! Now, let us begin.
Today, our lesson is about illustrating measures of positions, namely quartile, decile, and percentile. Illustrating measures of position give us a way to see where a certain data or value falls in a sample or distribution. A measure can tell us whether a value is about the average or whether it is unusually high or low. It is also help us to paint a more concise picture of what is going on in the data. At the end of the lesson, you learners are expected to illustrate in terms of positions, quartile, decile, and percentile in a given set of ungrouped data by using Mendenhall and Sensei method.
Measures of position give us a way to see where a certain data point or value falls in a sample or distribution. A measure can tell us whether a value is about the average, or whether it's unusually high or low. Measures of position are used for quantitative data that falls in some numerical scale. Sometimes measures can be applied to ordinal variables. When we say ordinal variables, those are variables that have an order, like first, second, or 50th. To have more knowledge about the data set, we may divide it into more parts of equal sizes. The measures of central tendency, which are used for dividing the data into several equal parts, are called partition values. Now, there are a lot of measures of position, but today we will just focus on the common ones. We have the quartiles, deciles, and percentiles of and grouped data. Quartiles. Quartiles are a form of percentiles. Quartiles split the distribution into 4. A good way of remembering this is that quartile sounds similar to quarter, which is a fourth. Here is how quartiles are illustrated. The quartiles are the score points which divide a distribution into 4 equal parts. 25% of the distribution are below the first quartile, 50% are below the second quartile, and 75% are below the third quartile. Quartile 1 is called the lower quartile, and quartile 3 is the upper quartile. This means that quartile 2 is greater than quartile 1 but less than quartile 3, where quartile 2 is nothing but the median. The difference between quartile 3 and quartile 1 is the interquartile range. Since the second quartile is equal to the median, the steps in the computation of median by identifying the median class is the same as the steps in identifying the quartile 1 class and the quartile 3 class. Now, let us have an example. Find the average of the lower quartile and the upper quartile of the data. So first, let us arrange the data into ascending order. So we now have 180, 260, 290, 370, 430. Now the least value of the data is 180, and the greatest value of the data is 430. The middle value of the data is 290. The lower quartile is the value that is between the least value and the middle value. So, the lower quartile now is 260. The upper quartile is the value that is between the greatest value and the middle value. So, the upper quartile is 370. Now, we are asked to find the average of the lower quartile and the upper quartile. So, the average of the lower quartile and the higher quartile now is 315. Again, in getting the average, we just get their sum and divide it by 2. There is also another way of solving for the quartile. We call it a Mindenhall and Sengich method. To apply their method in a data set with n elements, for the quartile 1, we use the formula lower quartile are represented by L is equal to the position of quartile 1, and this is equal to 1/4 times the sum of n plus 1. Then round to the nearest integer. If L falls halfway between two integers, round up, then the nth element is now the lower quartile value.
On page 3 of your self-learning material, given the mathematics ratings of grade 10 class, you are tasked to illustrate 7th decile using Mindenhall and Sensi method. In performing the task, you have to do the following procedures. First, examine the given set of data if it is arranged in ascending order. If not, you have to arrange it in ascending order. Is the data in example number 1 arranged in ascending order? Yes, you're right. The data is not arranged in ascending order. What are we going to do with our data if it is not arranged in ascending order? Very good answer. We are going to arrange it in ascending order. Second procedure, you have to count the number of elements in the given set of data for you to have the value of n, which is required in the next step. How many elements do we have in the given set of data? Correct! We have 12 elements in the given set of data, which is also the value of our n. If you're done with the first and second procedures, you may now proceed to the third procedure. In our first example, you are asked to illustrate seventh decile. Now we will take the formula d sub k equals to k over 10 times n plus 1. The value of k is 7. Since k in the formula stands for the nth term, it is over 10 because in the decile, the distribution is divided into 10 classes. The value of n is 12 since we have 12 elements in the given set of data. Using Mendenhall and Sensi method, we have d sub 7 equals to 7 over 10 times 12 plus 1. d sub 7 equals to 7 times 13 all over 10. We have d sub 7 equals to 91 divided by 10. The answer is 9.1. Rounded off, so d sub 7 is approximately 9. That value of d sub 7, which is 9, implies that d sub 7 is equal to the ninth element of the given set of data. Looking back to the arranged set of data, the ninth element is 91. Therefore, the seventh decile in the given set of data is 91. Example number 2 is tasked to illustrate the 40th percentile using Mendenhall and Sensi method. Have you still remembered the procedures in illustrating the measures of positions? If yes, then you're very good. The first thing to do is to examine the given set of data if it is arranged in ascending order. If not, you have to arrange it in ascending order. Is the data in example number 2 arranged in ascending order? Yes, you're right. The data is arranged already from lowest to highest order. Second procedure, you have to count the number of elements in the given set of data for you to have the value of n, which is required in the next step. In example number 2, how many elements do we have in the given set of data? Very good. We have 10 elements in the given set of data, which is also the value of our n. If you're done with the first and second procedures, you may now proceed to the third procedure. In example number 2, we will use the formula P sub k equals to k over 100 times n plus 1 for a reason that we will illustrate the 40th percentile of the given set of data. And we know already that in percentile, the distribution is divided into 100 parts. We have now P sub 40 equals 40 over by 100 times 10 plus 1. P sub 40 equals to 40 times 11 all over 100. We have P sub 40 equals to 440 over 100. That will give you P sub 40 equals to 4.4. Rounded up, therefore, P sub 40 is approximately equal to 4. Such 4 implies that P sub 40 is the fourth element in the given set of data. Looking back at the set of data, the fourth element falls on 52 in the given set of data. Therefore, the 40th percentile in the given set of data is 52.
Complicated? No! Then it's time to get your activity sheet in this lesson and answer the given activity.
If you have questions or clarifications, you may contact the number of your teacher printed below your activity sheet. To end, always remember that learning is a treasure that will follow its owner everywhere.
So, education must continue. Good luck and God bless everyone!
We hope that you have learned the most essential lessons you need to master. See you on our next episodes. This has been Ang Tangkub.
It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkuban. We learn all things, it's very fun, masaya. Tugtog na.
Kung gusto mong maglingaw-lingaw, mga tawag magloling hayaw, mag-joyride na. Uba na ang imong barkada, silingan o pamilya, mag-joyride na. Sinatiuntang palibot, mga lugar sulod sa tanggob, mag-ubanta. Silang gato makilaw, sa sanabog sa pulaw, laagunta. Labi na yun sa huyuhoy, ugnang dapit daghan og kahoy, talana. Maglibot tango, maglibot tango kita. Maglipay-lipay, magsakay-sakay tala. Maghihiusa, maghihigala. Let's get together, make life feel better. Kung gusto ka og entertainment, for fun and for enjoyment, no problem ka. Sinadululoy among pambato, kumusayo smart kaayo, bilib jud ka. Panahon sab sa Disyembre, super gid ka aligre, malingaw gid ka. Fireworks display daghang ganahan, musidlak sa kalangitan, mapawag gid ka. Christmas symbols, capital of the Philippines. Ninira na ninyo makita, friends, diba? Diri sa tanggop, maglibot tanggop kita. Maglipay-lipay, magsakay-sakay tala. Maghihiusa, maghihigala. Let's get together, make life feel better. Makita, friends, diba? Hapit sa tanggop, maglibot tanggop kita. Maglipay-lipay, magsakay-sakay.
At matuto sa mga aral sa mundo. TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tayo, tayo na. Let's come and learn together, supporting one another. We love, we care, we share. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tangkop, tangkop time. Tayo, tayo na. Buksan ang mga radyo, lina at matuto sa mga aral sa mundo. Tayo, tayo na. Tumutok na sa TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tayo, tayo na. Let's come and learn together, supporting one another. We love, we care, we share. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, 'cause 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 'c very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very
the Department of Education, Division of Tangub City, in partnership with the local government unit of Tangub, presents Ang Tangkub, Transforming Advancement in the New Normal, guiding K-12 learners under broadcast media and instructional program crafted in response to the need of making education possible and accessible to students at the comfort of their homes. It covers the most essential competencies, thematically layered in drama plays which were originally written, directed, and performed by teachers to see to it that education is securely provided. This is Ang Tangkub.
Tayo na, buksan ang mga radyo, lina at matuto sa mga aral sa mundo. Tayo na, tumutok na sa TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tayo na. Let's come and learn together, supporting one another. We love, we care, we share. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tangkub, tangkub time. radyo, lina at matuto sa mga aral sa mundo. Tayo na.
Hello! Happy Tuesday, everyone! Welcome to
Astral Academy Cyber School.
Of course, we are live this afternoon via DepEd Tayo Tango Facebook page and Astral Academy Facebook page. And today is Tuesday. And pag Tuesday, right, kami ang inyong makauban today. Again, Miss Elvin Weba po.
And of course, Ma'am Gay Soterio Saavedra. So learners, welcome sa ato ang Quarter 4, Week 1 here in Astral Academy Facebook Live. And again, today is Tuesday, and pag Tuesday, it is, of course, Mathematics Day para sa ato ang grade 7 to grade 10 learners.
Okay, so hello and welcome mga Mathematics. So Ma'am Gay, dili nato dugayan Ma'am Gay, no? Sugdan na nato sa ato ang grade 7 topic for this week. Okay, so for this week, our competency for grade 7 is to possess real-life problems that can be solved by statistics and formulate simple statistical instruments. Okay, so Ma'am Gay, atong competency duhagid karong afternoon, no? But since the verb, the possess there, it's not possess, no, but it's possess because it's P-O-S-E-S. We have to quantify the competency so we can make it as write real-life problems that can be solved by statistics and formulate simple statistical instruments. Okay, so why are we learning these things, Ma'am Gay? So unsa may importansya ani nga topic? Well, learning to write real-life problems that can be solved by statistics is important because not all problems are to be answered by statistics. So, napo ay mga problems, Ma'am Gay, in real life nga dili na kailangan og statistics. So, there are problems that can be easily answered. These problems have exactly one answer. So, there are also problems in real life that need survey, interview, or collecting data, and so statistics is needed. Now, we use statistics to manage our time properly, to budget finances, to count on the number of days spent on the particular task, and many more. Now, learning to formulate simple statistical instrument is also important, which is our second competency, okay? Because this will be our tool in collecting data, which serves as our key in finding the answers and analyze the problems in real life. So, importante gihapon ang mag-formulate ng simple statistical instrument because mo man ni our tool, atong instrument nga para makuha nato ang answers sa ato ang problem or questions. Alright, so learners, we hope that by the end of this live, well, makatabang ning among Facebook Lives pag-answer sa inyong SLMs on how to write real-life problems that can be solved by statistics and formulate simple statistical instrument. Okay, so today, Ma'am Gay, before we go to our competencies, now let us define first statistics, okay? So when we say statistics, it is a mathematical science that includes collecting, organizing, and analyzing data in such a way that meaningful conclusions can be drawn from them. So basically, ang statistics, gid Ma'am Gay, no, is about using data to answer a question. Okay? Now, proceed ta sa itong competency, pag-write na to real-life problems, well, actually, Ma'am Gay, dili lang again sa atong ingon paganina nga dili ta ng problems can be solved by statistics. So, unsa man nga problems ang ma-solve by statistics? Well, the problem should be statistical. When we say statistical, these questions has more than one answer or ang iyang posible nga mga answers na siya more than one. So statistical questions require collection of data. So mag-gather gitag information, data, answers. Okay? So again, mostly sa mga problems that can be solved by statistics requires survey. Kabalo nang to say survey, Ma'am Gay, no? Okay, so collecting data, mga lapta og mga informations, answers, or even interview. So it could be one-on-one interview. Well, anyway, ma-tackle natin na sila later on, tagsa-tagsa, as we go with the topic. So again, those questions only or problems that has more than one possible answer. Mo to siya gitawag nga problems nga ma-write na to siya. Statistical problems. Well, ang tawag sa katong problems nga dili na kailangan og statistics, well, of course, from the word itself, it's a non-statistical questions or problems. So, when we talk about non-statistical question, it has exactly one answer. So, di na siya kailangan og statistics. Well, example. So, Ma'am Gay?
Okay, so let us have an example. So what if someone will ask you this question, how old are you? So this question, of course, is non-statistical.
Yes.
So, yes, because the reason why this question is non-statistical because it has an exact answer or one answer only. So no need na mag-conduct a survey to answer how old are you.
Or even what is your name?
Yes.
Di na siya kailangan og statistics because there's only one name. Example, what is your name? Ayukra Sultan, di ba?
So no need na to conduct a survey.
Okay, di na ka kailangan questionnaire nga kanang daghan pag-answers or options sa ato ang respondents. Okay?
Right.
So kato nga question nga how old are you? If we're pwede pa na to siya ma-change, into statistical question. So if we're going to write it in a statistical question, it could be like how old are the students in this classroom. So by that, how old are the students from this classroom? So if you have 20 students, so nadyo kay 20 ka possible nga answers. So dili lang ka exactly one answer. So in that case, kana nga pangutana, that is already a statistical question. Okay, so now if you already have problems that require the following, indicators. So again, ang imog yung unang timan, and before ka maka-write og problem, that can be solved by statistics. Ang una gyud nimong timan-an is statistical question ba siya or non-statistical question. Again, makaingon lang tag statistical question if more than one iyahang answer. Non-statistical siya if isa lang exact ang answer. So you have to choose the statistical question. And if you already have that, then you are now ready to write a problem that can be solved by statistics.
Okay.
Well, in writing a problem using statistics, you could use this as your guide, okay? So we could have a WH questions plus the outcome you want to identify the result. Kaya namang gyud poy kanang dili siya question form Ma'am Gay, no, pwede po siyang problem statement.
Yes.
Okay? So like the effects of then plus the outcome nga unsa yung gusto nimong mahibaw-an or ma-identify. Okay? So another example in how are going to write a statistical questions. So, I wonder, Ma'am Gay, unsa ang subject nga pinaka-favorite sa ako ang section. Okay? So, in that case, nagit siya yung mga possible, lahi-lahi nga mga possible answers. Okay. So, now, first, akong i-check if kini nga problem is statistical or not. So, kung mangutan ako most like subjects sa akong klase, so, ang mga possible answers could be English, could be MAPE, o di ba, more than one. So, in that case, sulod siya sa ato ang indicator. So, that means it is a statistical question, then, pwede na nako siya ma-write, kana nga thought, ma-write na din nako siya into a statistical problem. Okay, so, following the guide also, that using the WH question plus the outcome you want to identify, so, I could write the problem as, what, okay, plus, what is the most liked subject of the class of my section. Okay, so let's make it formally. So what is the most liked subject of the class of grade 7 baybayin? Gamitin lang ako baybayin, Ma'am Gay, kaya mo magiging akong section karon. Okay, so in that case, that is how you write a problem that can be solved by statistics. So you could use a question form, you could have WH question, plus the outcome you want to identify. Okay, so what is the most liked subject of the class of grade 7 baybayin? Okay, so that is a problem that can be solved by statistics. So we do hope that you're already done with the first competency. Now the second competency is to formulate simple statistical instrument. Okay, so given the situation, I cannot tell right away what subject is the most liked subject of the grade 7 baybayin. Sakto, Ma'am Gay, no?
Yes, yes.
Okay, di man yun ako na maansiran. So, by that, kailangan nako og instrument. So that is why formulating statistical instruments should be developed to gather the data. So in this case, mag-gather yung data just to answer the problem. Now, before formulating simple statistical instrument, we should always start with examining the question or problem that we have. So, mag-start yun ka sa imuhang question. Okay? So, if the problem, before ka maggamit sa statistical instrument. Now, if the problem needs to be asked face-to-face, okay, then you could use the statistical instrument. Actually, na-learn na nila sa ilahang video lesson kaganina, interview, using interviews, okay? So again, if the problem needs to be asked face-to-face, then interview will be used as our instrument. So, mabalik lang tagamay, Ma'am Gay, sa ilang lesson kaganina. Unsa ganing two types of interview, Ma'am Gay?
Okay, so the two types of interview or interview guide are, so we have here structured and unstructured interview. So when we say structured interview, it is an interview following a set of sequence of questions. Okay, so example of structured interview would be, what is your favorite subject? And then napay follow up ng question na, why is it your favorite subject? So that question is an example of structured interview.
Okay, so naapot tayo unstructured, Ma'am Gay, no? So, the unstructured interview is an interview which does not use any set of questions and it is more casual. So, like, mura ra mo og gatabi. Okay, yun ang na lang kaniya. So, example, tell me about yourself. Or, what is your greatest strength? Or, why are you so noisy there? Diba? So, may na mga unstructured interview. So, if the problem needs printed list of questions, then we could also use a statistical instrument, and that is questionnaire. Okay, so sa questionnaire, Ma'am Gay, we could also use structured or closed format or unstructured or open. So when we talk about structured or closed, these questions that can be in the form of a multiple choice and alternative response questions such as true or false. Or for unstructured or open pod, these are questions that have no limit as to the responses of respondents. So unstructured or open format instrument or open format instrument because the respondents have the freedom to answer in their own words. Bahala pag ugma pa kamahuman or bahalag sige lang kadihag tabi. On your own words instead of limiting the responses to a set of pre-selected choices. So, namang questionnaires na open siya, like you can write any, all your answers, all your thoughts, all your opinions there. And there are also type of questionnaire in gathering the data nga closed siya, meaning naakay options in answering. Okay? So, maoto siya. It could be interview or it could be questionnaire. And the other one could be if the problem needs a survey where responses are in ranked manner, then we're going to use rating scale. Okay? So, tulo ni siya kaklaseng statistical instrument ang ato introduce karon. Kaganina, the interview, then the questionnaire, then ikatulo, the rating scale. Kanus aman ta magamit og rating scale? Kung ang imong i-survey is nag-need siya og, ang among responses nag-need siya og in ang options kayo in ranked manner. So example, Ma'am Gay, can you do the example?
So example, watching TV too much makes people lazy. So kana ba lang nga problem or statement, need tag responses na strongly disagree ba, disagree, agree, or strongly agree. So in that case, rating scale yun ang ato ang gamiton.
That is right. So, again, ang inyong natimanan, if ang options or ang survey nga inyong gusto nga ang makuha nimo mag-gather ng informations naggamit ka og in ranking ang iyong responses, so that is a rating scale. It could be, another example would be, how would you rate the services in Big J restaurant? Actually, wala lang siya nag-open. No? Well, anyway, you could, namayuban nga, excellent, or very good, or good lang ba siya, or poor. Okay, so, again, those three are the sample statistical instrument. Now, mubalik ta sa to ang problem kaganina, Ma'am Gay, nga nag-write naman ta og problem that can be solved by statistics. So, ato siyang ipadayon. So, ang atong problem, Ma'am Gay, is what is the most liked subject of the class of grade 7 baybayin? Because before you formulate a statistical instrument, you have to base it on your problem.
Of course.
Okay. So, there are, well, 7 subjects in class, excluding the specialization. Wala man na sila TLE, kaya ang baybayin, Ma'am Gay, is a special program in the arts man, no? So, basically, ang ilahang options or ilang answers lang di ay sa question nato or sa problem could be English, mathematics, science, Filipino, araling panlipunan, MAPE, and ESP. So these are the only possible responses of the learners. Now this shows that the problem cannot have a rating scale. No? Kay wala man, ang ilang responses kay wala man siya naka-rank manner.
Yes,
so,
yes.
X na gyud ang atong ikatulong nga statistical instrument nga atong introduce ka ganina, which is rating scale. Okay? It's not in rank manner. So, then, therefore, we can answer this problem through the two remaining. It could be a interview. Interviewon lang nato ang ato ang klase face-to-face. So, during interview, we simply ask each student on what is their most liked subject in this class, no? So by that, you can gather na dayon your data. Okay, so you can use interview, or you could also give them a questionnaire where the possible responses are given, in which learners can just encircle or put check mark on their choices. So kanang questionnaire magamit gyud ta ana og printed material manggay, no? Okay, but take note, if you're going to use the questionnaire, the direction should be clear so that ang gusto nimo nga makuha nga answers is masulat sa bata o mogi ma-answer. So example, kato nga problem, what is your most liked subject? Well, the direction should be clear. So if check mark ang ipabutang nimo, then i-check niya ang subject nga iyahang kuan gyud kanang most like. When we talk about most like, so probably isa na gyud nakabakilang answer sa isa ka learner. Okay? So example, so there you have to put check mark on the blank of their choice. So what is your most liked subject? So ihatag gyud nimo tanang option. So kung nakaisa ka subject nga malimtan, dili gyud na mahitabo null gyud, I mean null and void. Dili siya acceptable ang imuhang questionnaire because naikulang sa ilahang choices. So factor gyapon na siya sa imong study. So it should be ang all subjects nga ilahang possible nga responses should be written in the questionnaire. So daraling panlipunan, the English, the ESP, Filipino, mathematics, MAPE, and science. So bawal po if mag-TLE sila magbutang kag TLE dito kay wala may TLE subject C, special program in the arts, the grade 7 library. Okay? So that's it. I hope that it helped you on how to write write problems involving statistics and formulate simple statistical instrument in answering your SLMs. Okay? So that's it for our grade 7 topic. Well, grade 8 will be discussed after a short break. This is
Astral Academy Cyber School. Astral Academy Cyber School. Okay, so kaganina, we are done with our grade 7 mathematics quarter 4 week 1. So karon, let us proceed to grade 8 mathematics quarter 4 week 1. So our competency or our lesson is all about explaining the theorems on triangle inequalities. Namely, we have actually we have 3. So we are going to explain the exterior angle inequality theorem, the triangle inequality theorem, and the hinge theorem. Now, why do we need to study this lesson, the triangle inequality theorems? So, the triangle inequality theorems is important to find out whether the triangle with a given 3 measurements exists or not. So, it also helps to calculate the unknown lengths and have a rough estimate of various dimensions. So in real life, civil engineers use the triangle inequality theorem since their area of work deals with surveying, transportation, and of course, urban planning. So the triangle inequality theorems helps them to calculate the unknown lengths and have again, a rough estimate of various dimensions. So, lesson properly learners atong discussion karon, since at the end of this lesson, you will explain theorems on triangle inequalities, the exterior angle inequality theorem, the triangle inequality theorem, and of course, the hinge theorem. So, timanan ang tulong ato ang i-explain karong hapuna. Now, let us start with the exterior angle inequality theorem. Okay? But before that, what do you mean by exterior angle of a triangle? So here. So when we say exterior angle of a triangle, it is an angle that forms a linear pair with one of the angles of the triangle. So here in our figure, so of course, as you can see, this is triangle PQR. So in this figure, so klaro kaayo sa exterior angle na to, we have exterior angle, angle 4. So this angle or the angle 4 is called the exterior angle of this figure. So as you can see here, class, angle 3 and angle 4 forms a linear pair. Okay? So now, since si angle 1 and 2, the interior angles of the triangle PQR, wala ni form og linear pair sa atuang exterior angle nga angle 4, so unsa may tawag ni angle 1 ug ni angle 2? Well, angle 1 and angle 2 are called the remote interior angles. When we say remote interior angles, class, of a triangle, these are the angles that, of course, again, do not form a linear pair with the exterior angle. So, sama sa ako ang gina-mention kaganina. So, balik ko na to. In this triangle, angle 4 is the exterior angle, and the angles 1, 2, nga wala ning form og linear pair sa ato ang exterior angle, are called the remote interior angles. Now, what do we mean by exterior angle inequality theorem, Ma'am Elvie?
Okay, so when we talk about exterior angle inequality theorem, for any triangle, the measure of an exterior angle is equal to the sum of the measures of its 2 remote interior angles.
Okay, so timan-an na to, class, si exterior angle inequality theorem. So balik taan nga figure. So since ang exterior angle nato man is si angle 4 and the remote interior angles nato is si angle 1 and 2, then by the concept of the theorem, exterior angle inequality theorem, we can then say that the measure of angle 4 is equal to the sum of the measures of the remote interior angle. So measure of the exterior angle, measure of angle 4 is equal to the measure of angle 1, this angle, plus the measure of angle 2. Okay? So here. So that is, of course, by the concept of exterior angle inequality theorem. Another concept is this one, Ma'am Elvie.
Okay, so another concept for exterior angle inequality theorem states that the measure of an exterior angle of a triangle is greater than the measure of either of its 2 remote interior angles.
Okay, so again, based on this figure, by the exterior angle inequality theorem, balik ko na ako sa exterior angle, greater pa yung measure sa either of the 2 remote interior angles. So we can say that measure of angle 4 is greater than either of the 2 measure of angle 1. Also, measure of angle 4 greater than measure angle 2. Okay? So, timan-an ang concept na exterior angle inequality theorem. Now, let us have an example. So, how to explain exterior angle inequality theorem given an illustration. So, we have to follow some steps again. So, step 1, you are going to identify first the exterior and two remote interior angles. Maginay, importante. So, given the figure, ang unahang buhaton again, i-identify sa exterior ug ang duha ka remote interior angles. Ang second nga step would be, you're going to compare the exterior angle and the two remote interior angles based on the exterior angle inequality theorem. So, let us have an example. So, here. Okay.
So, mo yung timan ang ilang steps, Ma'am Gay, no?
Yes.
So, the very first thing is identify which is the exterior angle.
And the two remote interior
And
angles.
the two remote angles.
Okay. So, given this figure, class, we are going to explain the exterior angle inequality theorem. So, first step would be identify the exterior angle and the two remote interior angles. So, as you can see, angle 1 here. So, this angle is the exterior angle. And then, how about the two remote interior angles? So, since si angle 4 and angle 3 are the two interior angles na wala ning form o linear pair ni angle 1, which is the exterior angle, therefore, si angle 4 o si angle 3 are called the remote interior angles, okay, of this triangle. Now, in step 2, we're going to compare. We're going to compare the exterior angle and the two remote interior angles. So, based on the exterior angle inequality theorem, we can say that measure of the exterior angle, which is measure of angle 1, is what? The measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 4 plus the measure of angle 3. Okay? Take note of the concept of exterior angle inequality theorem, that the measure of the exterior angle is equal to the sum of the measures of the two remote interior angles. And then, how about the second concept of the exterior angle inequality theorem, that sa exterior angle, ang measure niya is greater pa sa measure sa either of the two remote interior angles. So, we can say that, so this is the first concept, that measure of angle 1 rather, so the exterior angle is greater than the measure of angle 4. Also, we can say that measure of angle 1, the exterior angle, is greater than the measure of angle 3. Okay? So, that is how to explain the exterior angle inequality theorem. So, I hope inyo nasabtan. Now, let us proceed to the next theorem, the triangle inequality theorem. So, Ma'am LV?
Triangle inequality theorem, the sum of any two-side length of a triangle is greater than the third side length.
Okay. So, now, we are going to tackle the triangle inequality theorem. So, the concept of triangle inequality theorem, class, is this one. The sum of any two side lengths of a triangle is greater than the third side length. So, given this triangle here, this is triangle ABC. So, by triangle inequality theorem, we can say that side AB plus side BC is greater than side EC. So, writing that, we have AB plus side BC is greater than the third side, which is side AC. And then another side BC, this side, or plus the measure of this side is greater than the measure of the other side. So we have side BC plus this side AC is greater than the measure of side AB. And another is side AC, this side, okay, plus the measure of this side, AB, is of course greater than the measure of this side, which is BC. So, mao ra ginay hinumduman sa triangle inequality theorem that ang sum sa duha ka sides greater pa sa isa ka side sa triangle. Now, how to explain triangle inequality theorem based on the given condition? Now, if we have conditions from LV this one, could a triangle have side length 6 centimeters, 7 centimeters and 5 centimeters. So, pwede ba na?
Well,
Well, to answer this question, dapat mo satisfy sa atong theorem nga triangle inequality theorem. Now, let us examine ug mo satisfy ba siya, class. Okay? So, example, mo niya to ang triangle, given triangle. So, pwede ba daw nga ang isa ka side nag-measure og 5 centimeters, ang isa 6 centimeters og 7 centimeters. So, question mark pa. So, atua pang examine og mo satisfy ba sa triangle inequality theorem. And to do that, take note that the triangle inequality theorem states that the sum of the lengths of any two sides of a triangle is greater than the length of the third side. So, we have this statement that 6 cm plus 5 cm, 6 plus 5, dapat greater than siya ni 7. Okay? And another is, so there are three statements. So we have 5 centimeters plus 7, dapat greater than siya ni 6. Okay? So this is by triangle inequality theorem. Another is 7 plus 6, okay? Dapat greater siya sa third side, which is 5 centimeters. So if the three statements here are true, then we can say that ning satisfy siya sa triangle inequality theorem. So ma-answer na to atong question earlier nga, could a triangle have side length as 6 cm ba, 7 cm, and 5 cm? Okay, now let us examine. So 6 plus 5 is greater than 7. So true ba nga statement? So 6 plus 5 is equal to 11. So 11 is greater than 7. Yes, so this is a true statement. Now, how about this statement right here? 5 plus 7 is greater than 6. True or false? 5 plus 7 is 12. Is 12 greater than 6? Of course. So, true gihapon ng statement. Now, how about this one, the third statement? 7 plus 6 is greater than 5. So, 7 plus 6 is 13. Now, is 13 greater than 5? Of course. So, true gihapon ang statement. Now, since tanang statements nato dire, true or ning satisfy sa triangle inequality theorem, then we can say that, check, pwede di ay nga si triangle have sides 5 centimeters, 6 centimeters, and 7 centimeters. Okay? Now, if ever class ay check ninyo na ay statement nga false, of course,
maski isa lang.
Maski isa lang, so dili kita makaingon nga pwede nga naay sides inana si triangle. Since wala siya ning satisfy sa triangle inequality theorem. Okay? So I hope na sabtan sa ang second theorem nato nga triangle inequality theorem. Now let us proceed to the last one. We have the hinge theorem and its converse. So what do you mean by hinge theorem, LV?
So hinge theorem states that if two sides of a triangle are congruent to two sides of another triangle, and the included angle of the first is larger than the included angle of the second, then the third side of the first triangle is longer than the third side of the second triangle.
Okay, so hinge theorem, here we have this figure, so to illustrate hinge theorem. So as you can see here, we have two triangles. The side BA in the first triangle is congruent to side DE, okay, or ED. And here, the side BC of the first triangle is congruent to EF on the second triangle. And if that happens, we can say that if angle B here is greater than angle E, again, si angle B dako pa ni angle E, so we can conclude that side AC, okay, the side AC is of course greater than longer the side DF. Okay? So meaning, kung ang measure ni angle B greater pa ni angle E, of course, ang opposite sides ni angle B or opposite side ni angle B, dako pa sa opposite side ni angle E. So, ina na ka-simple si hinge theorem. Ang converse po niya is, kung ang measure sa side AC is longer pa kaysa sa side DF, so that means, of course, that si angle B is greater pa po ni angle E. So, inana ra gyud ang hinge theorem. Now, let us have an example of the hinge theorem. So, this one. So, as you can see here, we have two triangles. So BA, side BA here is congruent to side DE. And side BC here is congruent to side EF. And as you can see, angle E is greater than angle B. Kay angle E is 82 degrees, while angle B is 63 degrees. So we can conclude that, by the hinge theorem, we can conclude that si DF is of course greater than or longer ni side AC. Okay. So that is the hinge theorem. So dali ra kayo ang hinge theorem. Og dako siya nga angle, then ang yang opposite side pod is longer pa. Okay? Sa isa ka side, sa isa ka triangle.
Or the other way around.
Or
Kung
the other way
longer
around.
si side, automatic yung opposite greater si angle.
Yes, ang opposite angle niya is greater pod. Okay? So, I hope na sabtan ang tulo ka theorems na to. I hope you know na how to explain the exterior angle inequality theorem, the triangle inequality theorem, and the hinge theorem. So, grade 9 mathematics will be discussed after this short break. This is Astral Academy Cyber School.
TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya.
And we are back still here in
Astral Academy Cyber School.
So, Ma'am Gay, before ta magpadayon sa tong grade 9 topic, dili sa nato malimtan na nga to ang second attendance marker. So, it's already on the top of your screen. So, learners, take note.
Okay, so for grade 9 mathematics class, our lesson would be, we will learn how to explain the 6 trigonometric ratios. We have the sine, the cosine, the tangent, the secant, cosecant, and cotangent. Now, why do we need to study this lesson? So, this lesson is important because the 6 trigonometric ratios, the sine, cosine, tangent, secant, cosecant, and cotangent, are widely used in the field of engineering, physics, geometry, and navigation. Also, mastering your skill in explaining these 6 trigonometric ratios is very fundamental in learning trigonometry. So, mo gini basic kaning trigonometric ratios, mo gini basic concept basta mag-start na ta sa ato ang trigonometry. Actually, Ma'am LV, quarter 4, week 1 sa grade 9, trigonometry na gid na. So, that is why you need to listen properly sa itong discussion karon. So, at the end of this lesson, you will explain the 6 trigonometric ratios, the sine, cosine, tangent, secant, cosecant, and cotangent of the indicated acute angle in a given right triangle. Now, let us start. When we say trigonometry, it is or it comes from the Greek word trigonon, which means triangle, and metron, which means measure. So, in short, trigonometry di is or means triangle measure. So it is a branch of mathematics that studies relationships between side lengths and angles of triangles. So actually dali ra kaayo ma-determine kung trigonometry na ang lesson. Kaya naagi ni si 6 trigonometric ratios, si sine, cosine, and so on. So for any right triangle class, there are 6 trigonometric ratios. So here we have the sine. Take note of the abbreviation of the sign. We have SIN. So, ubang students, sin. This is not sin, sine. So, abbreviation lang niya, sin ang spelling. So, we have sine. Next is the cosine or the cos. Tangent, tan ang abbreviation. Cosecant, the CSC. The secant, the sec. And the cotangent or the cot. Take note, we have the sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, and cotangent. So these 6 trigonometric ratios class will help us to find the unknown side lengths and unknown angle measures in right triangles. So remember that a right triangle is a triangle in which one of the angles is a right angle. Now, how to name, what are the side names of a right triangle? So we have here an illustration of the side names of a right triangles. Actually, we have 3. We have the hypotenuse, we have the adjacent, and the opposite side. Okay, timan-an. Hypotenuse, adjacent, o opposite side. Kaning tulo ka sides. Kay mao ni sila ang gamiton later on sa definitions of the 6 trigonometric ratios. So for the hypotenuse class, of a right triangle, it is of course the longest side of the right triangle that is always opposite the right angle. So here in our figure, so klaro kayo sa hypotenuse, longest side man of a right triangle and always the opposite of the right angle, side nga atbang ni right angle. Now since the angle C na to diri is a right angle, then ang atbang niya nga side, this side AB or denoted by small letter C is the hypotenuse. So in this figure, atong isulat sa hypotenuse, okay, is equal to C, okay, or is denoted by C. Okay, now how about the adjacent side? Right. Now, if we are going to refer to theta or angle B, so kaning angle class, so focus on this angle. So, unsa man ang adjacent side ni theta or angle B? Take note that when you say adjacent side, it is one of the 2 shorter legs of the right triangle. It forms the angle theta with the hypotenuse. Now, looking at angle theta or angle B here, di ba ang sides niya is this side and this side. Now, since this side is the hypotenuse naman, so walay laing side nga nabilin. So this side is the adjacent side of the angle theta. So ito ang ibutang, si adjacent side is the side denoted by small letter A. Okay? Now, how about the opposite side of this right triangle? When we say opposite side, class, of angle theta rather, referring to theta here, opposite means atbang niya nga side. So, if mauni si theta, then ang atbang niya nga side is of course this side. And it is denoted by small letter B. So, the opposite side of theta is equal to B. So, timanan ang mga side names. And take note, learners, nga si adjacent o si opposite sides, magdepende o kung sa nga angles ang imuhang gina-refer. So, here, nag-refer man ta ni theta, so mo ni itong adjacent and opposite sides. But, if lahi na po nga acute angle ang ato ang gi-refer, mausab po na sila. So, example, if we are referring to angle A here, kani nga angle, then focus po ta ani nga angle. Ayaw gid mo focus sa laing angle para di mo mawala. So, finding the hypotenuse, opposite side and adjacent side, we have hypotenuse, pirmi gina. So, same ra gid na.
Pinakataas.
Okay. So, the longest side gina siya of the right triangle and opposite na siya pirmi ni right angle. So, same, C gihapon. Now, referring to angle A here, dili na ni theta ha, angle A na ta. So, referring to angle A, its adjacent side is, so lahi na po niyang adjacent side, yang tapad or nag-compose niya nga, side niya nag-compose niya nga angle. Now, since si angle A here, nag-compose niya nga side is this side, and this side is the hypotenuse naman, so walay laing nabilin nga side but this. So, that is side B, okay? So, adjacent side ni angle A is side B. As you can see, lahi na ang adjacent side ni theta o adjacent side ni angle A. So, for the opposite side of angle A, atbang niya nga side. So, that side is this one, the side A. Okay?
Ang atbang jud ang opposite.
Ang atbang. Opposite means atbang nga side ni angle. So, as you can see, adjacent side and opposite side ni, this is for theta and this is for angle A. So, lahi na. So, muna akong giingon kaganina nga dapat master ninyo ni si adjacent o si opposite. Sa hypotenuse, the same ra gid na. Okay, pinakataas nga side. Now, what are the definitions of the 6 trigonometric ratios? So, we have here its definition. So, timanan or you are going to familiarize these definitions. So, here. So, the first trigonometric ratio is, of course, the sine. Okay? For the sine, its ratio is opposite, its definition is opposite over hypotenuse. So, mo nang giingon ako ganina nga dapat makabalo mo sa side names of a right triangle, the hypotenuse, adjacent, and the opposite side kay mo gina siya yung mga definitions sa ato ang 6 trigonometric ratios. Again, for the sine, we have opposite over hypotenuse. For the cosine, we have adjacent over hypotenuse. For the tangent, we have opposite over adjacent. For the cosecant, we have hypotenuse over opposite. For the secant, we have hypotenuse over adjacent. And for the cotangent, we have adjacent over opposite. So, familiarize or kung mahimo, memorize aning 6 definitions of the 6 trigonometric ratios. Anyway, ang uban nagamit og mnemonic nga SOHCAHTOA o gini ang familiar nga mnemonic nga gamiton sa mga students para dali ra nila ma-remember ang definitions ni 6 trigonometric ratios. Again, the SOHCAHTOA. So stands for sine is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. That is the SO. For the ka, that is cosine is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. For the TOA, that is tangent is equal to opposite over adjacent. Now, nganong wala naman nag-i-appeal ning cosecant, secant, and cotangent? This is because si cosecant, reciprocal man siya ni sine. So, kung sa definition ni sine, balihon ra nimo maoy definition ni cosecant. As you can see, si sine opposite over hypotenuse. Si cosecant, gibalira, the reciprocal of sine, hypotenuse over opposite. For the secant, wala na po siya gi-appeal sa SOHCAHTOA kay secant is reciprocal man of cosine. So, as you can see, if cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, then getting its reciprocal, that is the definition of secant, which is hypotenuse over adjacent. And for the cotangent, it is of course the reciprocal of the tangent. Now, as you can see, tangent opposite over adjacent. So, cotangent, Adjacent over opposite. Again, use the mnemonic SOHCAHTOA. Ang uban, apilon pa nila si kaning tulo.
Ang kwan yun, SOHCAHTOA, kausha, chu.
Chu, siya, kaw.
When I learned in college, kausha, chu, wala siya
Chu,
in-check
siya, kaw.
Actually, it's a very big help because kung familiar gid ka sa upat ka ratios, I mean sa different ratios niya, very easy na dayon pag-identify sa kailangan ni mga function nga imong i-solve.
Yes.
SOHCAHTOA, kausha, chu.
SOHCAHTOA, ang ban SOHCAHTOA, chosha, kaw. Pero si SOHCAHTOA, pwede na po ka na imo hang gamiton. Anyway,
reciprocal.
Yes. Anyway, you can use the reciprocal. Alright? Now, how to explain the 6 trigonometric ratios of the indicated acute angle in a right triangle? So, mo ginatong main topic. We're going to explain the 6 trigonometric ratios of the indicated acute angle in a or of a right triangle. So here, let us have an example, okay? Anyway, there are steps to follow, Ma'am Elvino, to explain the 6 trigonometric ratios. So what are these steps?
Okay,
Ma'am Elvi?
so to explain the 6 trigonometric ratios, we have to follow the steps. So step 1, we identify the length of the hypotenuse, adjacent, and opposite sides of the given right triangle relative to the indicated acute angle. Okay, so kay mo maginay pinaka-basic, no, ang identifying the hypotenuse, adjacent, and the opposite sides of the given right triangle relative to the acute angle.
And step 2, that is, we are going to substitute na dahil the values or the lengths of the sides we identified in step 1 into the following definitions of the 6 trigonometric ratios. So, duha lang ka steps, we can explain na dahil the 6 trigonometric ratios of the indicated acute angle in a given right triangle. Let us have an example. So, here, so given this triangle DEF, now, we are going to explain the directions is explain the 6 trigonometric ratios for angle D. So, gi-highlight nga si angle D ang atong i-explain nato yung 6 trigonometric ratios. Now, to explain the 6 trigonometric ratios for angle D in this given right triangle, of course, we're going to follow the steps. So, step 1, identify first the length of the hypotenuse. Mo gini ato ang unahon. So, step 1 nato would be unsa kaha ang length ni hypotenuse, ni adjacent, o ni opposite side ni angle D. Again, we are referring to angle D here. So, when we say hypotenuse, of course, it is the longest side and it is always opposite the right angle. Now, since angle F is the right angle, so the side opposite ni right angle is this side.
Hypotenuse.
And its length is 5 centimeters. So, the hypotenuse is or measures 5 centimeters. Okay? Now, how about the adjacent side of angle D? Okay? So, referring to angle D, what is its adjacent side? So, klaro kaayo yung tapad nga side, no? Beside sa or aside sa hypotenuse. So, the adjacent side of angle D is this side. And its measure is, of course, 3 centimeters. 3 centimeters, sorry. And for the opposite side of angle D, of course, iyang atbanga side. So, if this is our angle D, then its opposite side or atbanga side is right. That is, or the measure is 4 centimeters. So, na humanata sa itong step 1, we have hypotenuse 5, adjacent 3, opposite side of angle D is 4. Now, let us proceed to our step 2. Our step 2 is, diri na ta. I-substitute na nato ang mga values based sa definitions ni 6 trigonometric ratios. Okay? Now, let us start with sine of angle D. Okay? So, pulihan na mo klase theta o D because we are referring to angle D here. So, for sine angle D, we all know that sine is equal to hypotenuse. That is, opposite over hypotenuse. Okay? So, since the opposite side, so O lang kay butang klasan H, O for opposite, H for hypotenuse. So, since the opposite side, so mag-refer na dito sa itong step 1. Kaya nakuha naman na to. So, since the opposite side of angle D is 4 and the hypotenuse is 5, then we now have 4 over 5, the sine of angle D. Okay? How about cosine of angle D? So, for cosine angle D, we know the definition of cosine, the ka, the adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay? We have adjacent over hypotenuse. Now, since the adjacent side of angle D is 3 and the hypotenuse is 5, then we now have 3 over 5. Okay? Now, how about the tangent?
TOA.
TOA. The tangent of angle D, the TOA, that is opposite over adjacent. So, opposite over adjacent. Now, since O, or opposite, is equal to 4 and A, adjacent, is equal to 3, then we now have 4 over 3. Okay? That is the tangent of angle D. Now, next, how about the cosecant? So, we now have cosecant of angle D, the reciprocal of sine. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so cosecant is hypotenuse over opposite. Now, since h, or hypotenuse, is 5, then opposite is 4, then we now have 5 over 4. Anyway, class, kung nakita na si sine, dali ra kay si cosecant. Sine is 4 over 5. Getting its reciprocal, then that is the cosecant, 5 over 4. Okay? Next, we have the secant. So, secant for angle D, the reciprocal of cosine, that is hypotenuse over adjacent. Since the hypotenuse is 5, so we now have 5 here in the numerator and adjacent is 3, so 5 over 3. Take note, cosine and secant are the reciprocals. Okay? So 3 over 5 si cosine, so atong secant 5 over 3. Alright? Now, let us proceed to the last one, the cotangent of angle D, the reciprocal of tangent. So, we have adjacent over opposite. Now, adjacent side, that is equal to 3, and then opposite side is equal to 4. So, we now have our cotangent 3/4, or 3 over 4. The reciprocal of tan, which is 4 over 3. So, I hope nasabtan on how to explain the 6 trigonometric ratios of the acute angle, of the given acute angle in a right triangle. Just follow the steps, class. Again, step 1, get the hypotenuse, adjacent and opposite sides. Step 2, substitute na dayon sa definitions of the 6 trigonometric ratios. So that's it. So that is all about explaining the 6 trigonometric ratios of the indicated acute angle of a right triangle. So, we're done with grade 9 mathematics. So, grade 10 mathematics will be discussed after this short break. This is Astral Academy Cyber School.
TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fun. together, supporting one another. We love, we care, we share. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fun. Masaya, tutok na. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine. Masaya, tutok na. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine. Masaya, tutok na. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine. Masaya, tutok na. It's tangkop.
And we're back still here in Astral Academy Cyber School.
Okay, so Ma'am Gay, humanas itong grade 9 lesson. So this time, let's have the grade 10 mathematics. So our competency for this week is to illustrate the following measures of position: the quartiles, the deciles, and the percentiles. Okay, so why are we learning this topic, Ma'am Gay? So the importance for this, in learning this competency, is illustrating measures of position give us a way to see where a certain data point or value falls in a simple or distribution.
Sample or distribution.
Yes. A measure can tell us whether a value is about the average or whether it's unusually high or low. Okay? So it also helps us to paint a more concise picture of what is going on in the data. Okay, so our objectives or our goal for this competency or for this topic is, by the end of this live or for this lesson, learners are expected to illustrate the nth measures of position, the quartile, decile, and percentile in given set of and group data by using Mendenhall and Sinsich method. Okay, so before we go to our illustrating the three Ma'am Gay positions, let us have first the definition of the measures of position. So a measure of position determines the position of a single value in relation to other values in a simple or population data set. So let's start with the first one, the quartile. So when we talk about quartile, quartile split the distribution into 4. Okay? A good way in remembering quartile, Ma'am Gay, is sounds like similar to quarter. Pag quarter, pasabot ba na divide na siya into 4, so that means quartile means the distribution into 4. Okay? The quartiles are the score points which divide a distribution into 4 equal parts. The 25%, so if you're going to illustrate that one, Ma'am Gay, no? Kini kay ang quartile dali raman siya ma-illustrate. So if we're going to have our data here, this is our quartile 3. Okay, so in this case here, okay, so the 25% are of the data are actually the data below quartile 1, and for 50% are below quartile 2, and below 75% is actually quartile 3. So, walang gina siya. When we talk about quartiles, that means the data is divided or split into 4 equal parts. Actually, quartile 2 means, or it's also called as the median. Quartile 1 is called the lower quartile, and quartile 3 is actually known as the upper quartile. Okay? So that's it for the quartiles. The second one is the deciles. Okay? So when we talk about deciles, these are any one of the numbers that divide a frequency distribution into 10 classes such that each contains the same number of individuals. So kung sa quartiles, kaupat siya na divide, well, for deciles, 10. Okay? Now, any of the 9 values that divide the total number of items in a frequency distribution into 10 groups, each containing an equal number. Yes? Okay, pata, direct?
Yes.
Where in deciles direct? Deciles. Wala ni siya, no? So, Ma'am Gay, we're actually talking about the 3 positions. So, we have the quartile, the decile, and the percentile. We're already in the decile direct. Okay, so deciles are any of the 9 values that divide the total number of items in a frequency distribution into 10 groups. So, each containing an equal number of items. So, in deciles, percentiles that split the data into groups of 10%. But actually, that is already a percentile. Okay? So again, for quartile, kaupat na divide. For deciles, ka-10. Now, sa percentiles, unsa po ni siya, Ma'am Gay? So percentiles, these are score points which divide the data into 100 equal parts. Okay? So kung quartile, kaupat, deciles, kapulo, percentiles into 100 equal parts. Now, the percentiles are the 99 score points which divide a distribution into 100 equal parts so that each part represents the data set. It is used to characterize values according to the percentage below them. For example, the first percentile or the P1 separates the lowest 1% from the other 99%. And so if we're talking about the second percentile or the P2, it separates the lowest 2% from the other 98% and so on. Okay, so direct, and we now have our examples. Where's our eraser? Okay, so in getting the percentile, the decile, and the quartile, we're actually having these different formulas, Ma'am Gay. So for the quartile, kaupat man, so example, if you're looking for the quartile of the nth position, so we can use the k over 4 times n plus 100. Then, direct, can we show it to them? Excited? Naat ka sa taas, direct. Okay ra, take your time. Okay, that's it, the n plus 1. Okay? So, this is how we solve for the quartile. Now, if we're going to look for the decile, that is the, when I talk about decile, kapulo siya na divide. So, if kapulo siya divide, ang ato ng timanan, our formula would also change. K over 10 times n plus 1. Okay? And if we're looking for the percentile of position, so that means P of n would be, ang percentile means ka-100, no? So therefore, mag-change pa datong denominator, that would be k over 100 times n plus 1. Okay, so learners, just familiarize the 3 different formulas. This one is for quartile. Again, you're dividing your data into 4 equal parts. So that means that is k over 4 times n plus 1. And for the decile, since you are dividing the data into 10 equal parts, and that would be k over 10 times n plus 1. And for the percentile, since you're dividing into 100 equal parts, then that means you have to use the formula k over 100 times n plus 1. Now, first example we have, using the Mendenhall and Sinsich method, illustrate the 7th decile or the D7 of mathematics ratings in a grade 10 class in grade 7 Sarimanok. Okay, so we already have here our data. So if the data is already given, you cannot just directly use the formula. So in illustrating different measures of position, so ang atong buhaton una is you have to identify unsa gipangita. Okay? So just like this example, we are asking for the D7 or the 7th decile. Pasabot, automatic, you already have the idea that the decile, that means your data is divided into 4 equal parts. For decile, that is 10 equal parts. Okay. So before that, you have to arrange also in ascending order. So given this data, this is not in order, so therefore we have to rewrite the data in order, that is in ascending order, okay? So here we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12, so therefore our n here is 12, okay? Now, since we are looking for the 7th decile, that means we're going to divide it by 10. So therefore, we have to use this formula. So 7 man, therefore, from this is D7 is equal to, our K here is 7 because we're looking for the 7th decile. So 7 over 10 times our N is 12 because since we have here 12 total number of data, so therefore this is 12 plus 1. And that is now equal to 7 over 10. Let us simplify first what's inside the parentheses. So 12 plus 1 is equal to 13. So we now have 7 over 10 times 13. And 7 over 10 times 13, that is equal to 91 over 10. Because 7 times 13 is equal to 91. And if we're going to divide 91 by 10, that is actually equal to 9.1. Or, excuse Ma'am Gay ha?
Sorry.
Estimate this, the 9.1 as 9. So pasabot, it's on the 9th element. Okay, so balik din ta sa ato ang data which is already arranged in ascending order. So let us look now for the 9th element. So let's count from the first one. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So therefore, the 7th decile of this given data is equal to 91. So that is how we illustrate decile. Okay, so same thing ang atong buhaton if you're also looking for the percentile, the quartile, or unsa. Again, take note, for quartile, you have to use the k over 4. And for the percentile, you have to use the divisor as 100. So that's it for the different measures of position. We have the quartile, the decile, and the percentile. Balik ko na to, quartile divided by 4, percentile divided by 100, and the deciles divided by 10. That's it. Alright, so that's it for our mathematics lessons for this afternoon. So before ta mag-thank you, let us not forget our third attendance marker. It's already on the top of your screen, so now learners, take note. So, alright. Let's thank now, okay? So, first is we would like to thank our production team. Okay, so production team, we have there Sir Saavedra, Sir Norbel, si Ma'am Leia, and of course, the very active Sir Sultan. Okay, so yes, thank you so much. And of course, we would also like to thank our learners. Okay, thank you so much, learners, for watching. Pila katong viewers karon direct? Daghan-daghan no? Wow, thank you so much, guys.
10 million viewers.
Alright, so Ma'am Gay, what else?
And of course, let's end na.
Yes, okay. So thank you so much. This has been Miss Elvin Reva.
And of course, Ma'am Gay Soterio Saavedra.
See you on our next live. This is Astral Academy
Cyber School.
Bye!